They say friends are the family we choose. But what happens when the family you chose turns its back on you? My name is Lydia. I never imagined the person I trusted most would be the one to betray me. It began with small things offhanded comments, laughter that didn't reach her eyes, and the subtle sidelining of my ideas in meetings. I brushed it off, telling myself it was just stress or jealousy. But then came the day when everything came crashing down. It was late evening, and I was pouring my heart into a presentation that we had worked on together for months. I looked to Emily, expecting support, a nod, maybe a smile. Instead, she scoffed openly, her words dripping with contempt. "Is that the best you've got? Honestly, Lydia, you're holding us back." The room went silent. I felt every eye turn to me, the sting of humiliation burning through my chest. That moment shattered more than my confidence. It fractured the very foundation of our friendship. I wanted to scream, to defend myself, to beg her to see me, but all I could do was swallow the lump in my throat and keep going. Days later, the whispers started, "She's too weak. She's just a charity case. And worst of all, she doesn't belong here." Behind closed doors, Emily mocked me relentlessly. She told anyone who would listen that I was a joke, a burden she never wanted. I had poured everything into this partnership, my time, my savings, my dreams. And now, she was turning it all to dust. On Christmas morning, when most people are surrounded by warmth and laughter, I sat alone in my cold apartment. No calls, no messages, no holiday cheer, just the crushing silence of betrayal. I stared at my phone, waiting for even a hint of apology, a sign that our friendship wasn't over. But nothing came. In that silence, clarity struck me. I realized I was holding onto a threadbare version of loyal Tyone that drained me and gave nothing back. So I made the hardest decision of my life. I cut off all financial support. No more covering her mistakes. No more silent sacrifices. I watched quietly as the empire she built with mockery and deceit began to crumble. And I waited. Because sometimes, the sweetest revenge is rising above. I am not here to ask for sympathy. I am here to show you that strength can be born from heartbreak. That loyalty isn't weakness. And that sometimes the only way forward is to walk away. Have you ever felt like the ground beneath you gave way? Like the person you trusted most became a stranger overnight? If so, then maybe my story will speak to you. Because this isn't just about betrayal, it's about survival, reclaiming power, and rewriting your destiny. So stay with me. This is only the beginning. Growing up, I was always the dependable one, the silent backbone everyone leaned on, but rarely noticed. I carried every burden quietly, masking the storm inside with a smile no one saw behind. Emily, she was everything I wasn't. Bold, magnetic, unapologetically fearless. People hung on her every word. When she entered my life, I believed I'd found my partner for business and for life. But that trust? It shattered faster than I ever imagined. The first real crack came during a high-stakes investor meeting. The room was packed with suits, eyes heavy with judgment. Months of work on the line. I was nervous, but determined. I started my pitch, pouring my heart out. Then Emily cut me off, voice sharp as a razor. "Is that really your best? Honestly, Lydia, you're embarrassing us." Silence. The kind that burns. I felt every pair of eyes on me, waiting for me to crumble. But I didn't. I looked her dead in the eye. "We built this together. I deserve respect." She smirked that chilling smile I'd come to dread. "Respect? You're holding us back. Step aside before you ruin everything." The room held its breath. I wanted to scream, but the words caught in my throat. After the meeting, things got worse. Rumors spread. Whispers followed me everywhere. "Lydia's too slow. She's a liability. She's the reason the company's stalling." I confronted Emily in private, desperate for answers. She laughed cold, venomous. "I never needed you, Lydia. You were just a crutch." The betrayal hit like a gut punch. I left shaking, tears blurring my vision, rage boiling beneath the surface. Then came the text, anonymous but cruel. "You'll never be more than a footnote." That night, I sat in my dark apartment, the city's flickering lights mocking me through the window. I felt broken, but that pain sparked a fire. I decided to fight back. I cut off all financial support the next morning. No more paying for her mistakes. No more silent sacrifice. Weeks later, the empire she built began to crack. Investors pulled out. Deals fell through. Panic crept into Emily's eyes. But then came the real shock. One evening, as I walked into a cafe, I overheard Emily arguing fiercely with one of our closest allies. "You're abandoning me? After everything?" she screamed. "No," the ally shot back. "You abandoned Lydia first. We're done playing your games." Emily's facade cracked, revealing desperation beneath. And that's when I realized this wasn't just a business war. It was survival. My survival. The day I took my first step away from her was the day I started taking back my life. Have you ever been stabbed in the back by someone you trusted most? Felt the cold, sharp sting of betrayal? If you have, you know this story isn't just about friendship or business. It's about fighting to reclaim your power, your voice, your destiny. And trust me, this fight is far from over. Emily's betrayal didn't just stop with me, it spread like wildfire, poisoning every relationship around us. Friends I once trusted vanished when the storm hit, leaving me isolated in a sea of cold shoulders and whispered rumors. Invitations I used to receive stopped arriving. Messages went unanswered. One afternoon, I walked into the cafe where Emily and I used to dream together. Voices dropped to hushed tones the moment I entered. Then, sharp words sliced through the quiet. "She's tearing us apart." Another voice added, "She was never cut out for this." The words felt like knives, but what hurt even more was the silence from those who should have defended me. Emily's family made no effort to hide their contempt. At a gathering, her mother's cold glance cut deeper than any insult. "You don't belong here," she said to a friend, loud enough for me to hear. That moment crushed something inside me. But the hardest blow came from my own blood. My sister, once my closest ally, pulled away, afraid of getting caught in the crossfire. "Maybe it's best if you just let it go," she said one night, voice trembling with uncertainty. "Let it go?" I echoed, disbelief flooding me. "How can I let go when they're trying to erase me?" The room felt colder, emptier. Business meetings became battlegrounds. Smiles vanished. Investors who once believed, now doubted. Rumors, carefully spun by Emily's allies, painted me as unstable, untrustworthy, even dishonest. One trusted colleague pulled me aside in a quiet hallway. "Lydia," she warned softly, "people are playing dirty. Watch your back." That warning sent a chill down my spine. I realized this battle wasn't just about business or friendship, it was about survival. Then came the night no one expected. Emily showed up at my door, eyes wild, voice trembling with desperation. "I'm sorry," she begged. "We need to fix this." My heart raced, torn between relief and suspicion. "Why now?" I demanded. "After all the lies?" She stepped closer, tears streaming. I was scared. I thought I'd lose everything. But was it truth? Or just another manipulation? That night, I lay awake, haunted by memories and doubts. Could I forgive? Could I trust again? The isolation, the betrayal, they weighed heavily on my soul. I knew healing wouldn't come from them. It had to come from me. Have you ever felt surrounded by silence when you needed a voice? Felt the sting of rejection from not just one person, but from an entire world? If so, then you understand why this chapter of my story is as much about loneliness as it is about strength. Because sometimes the fiercest battles aren't fought in boardrooms or courtrooms. They're fought in the spaces where love once lived and now feels lost. The aftermath of Emily's desperate visit felt like standing alone in a raging storm. Outside, the city's pulse flickered through my apartment window, but inside, silence pressed heavily against every wall. Friends I once called family vanished without explanation. Colleagues avoided eye contact. Whispers followed me like shadows. Even my own blood turned cold. One night, overwhelmed by the weight of loneliness, I sat on the edge of my bed clutching a faded photo of Emily and mitaken before the cracks appeared. My hands trembled as tears blurred the edges. I whispered to the silence, this isn't how our story ends. The next morning, I threw on a dark jacket, pulled my hair back, and stepped into the city's cold light. I hit every networking event, every meeting, every cafe where I could plant seeds for my comeback. At one such event, an old mentor caught my eye. He pulled me aside, gripping my shoulder firmly. "Lydia," he said, "this is your fight now. Own it. No one else will." His words sparked something fierce inside me. But the battlefield wasn't just out there, it was inside the office. One afternoon, as I passed the glass conference room, I overheard voices raised in anger. Emily was yelling, "You think you can just cut me off and walk away? I built this company from the ground up." A voice I hadn't expected spoke back sharply. "No, Emily, you built it on lies and sabotage." I pressed my ear to the door. A gasp. Then Emily's voice, colder than ice. "So, you're the one who leaked the documents?" The reply was a chilling silence. Suddenly, the door swung open, and Emily's eyes locked with mine. "You," she hissed. "I never wanted you here." Her presence was like a storm crashing into my calm. Later that evening, I confronted her directly. "Why, Emily? Why destroy everything we built?" Her laugh was hollow. "Destroy? I'm protecting myself. You think I'm the villain here?" I looked her dead in the eye. "You betrayed me, lied to everyone, and tried to ruin me." For a moment, the mask slipped. Vulnerability flickered in her eyes, but it was gone in an instant. I did what I had to do, and I'm not finished. The threat hung in the air. But then, the twist I never saw coming. Weeks later, a confidential email landed in my inbox, evidence of Emily's illegal dealings, hidden from investors, masked by layers of deception. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. The betrayal ran deeper than I imagined. I wasn't just fighting a personal war anymore. I was holding the key to bring her down. That revelation changed everything. I had the power to end this. But the question loomed: at what cost? Have you ever been pushed to the edge and found a weapon in your hand you never expected? Felt the thrill and terror of knowing you could rewrite the rules? If so, you know this story isn't just about survival. It's about choosing who you become in the darkest moments. The weight of that email felt like a hammer pounding relentlessly against my chest. Emily's betrayal ran deeper than I ever imagined. As the sun set outside my apartment, casting long shadows on the walls, I realized I wasn't just fighting a personal battle anymore. I was holding the key to bring down an empire built on lies. The room was cold and silent as I sat staring at the screen. The digital evidence spread before me like a map of deception. My fingers trembled as I began copying files, compiling everything Sarah and I had uncovered. The truth was dark and twisted: hidden offshore accounts, falsified contracts, bribes quietly exchanged in dimly lit rooms. This was no small scandal. It was a fortress of corruption. Every night after that, I relived the nightmare. The images of Emily smiling sweetly while orchestrating betrayals haunted me. I saw her voice, silky and persuasive, convincing investors while secretly sabotaging our work. The duality was staggering. Then came the call that shattered any remaining illusions. "It's worse than we thought," Sarah whispered urgently. "Emily's been covering her tracks for years. If this goes public, it could destroy not only her but dozens of others involved." Fear wrapped around me like a cold fog. Was I ready for the storm that would follow? But retreat was no longer an option. Together, we crafted a plan. Every detail was scrutinized, every step calculated to expose Emily without risking my own safety. We reached out to investigators, secured legal counsel, and prepared for the courtroom drama that awaited. But the battle had only just begun. Emily's response was swift and brutal. Smear campaigns erupted overnight, fueled by her allies eager to discredit me. My phone rang constantly, threatening messages, veiled warnings, attempts to intimidate. One night, I found my car vandalized, windows smashed, tires slashed. The message was clear. I refused to be cowed. At the next board meeting, the tension was palpable. Emily sat across from me, her eyes blazing with fury and desperation. Her lips curled into a venomous smile as she launched a ferocious verbal attack, accusing me of betrayal, sabotage, and theft. "You think you're the victim?" she spat. "You destroyed everything we built together?" I met her gaze without flinching. "I'm the one who's exposing the truth. I'm the one fighting for justice." The room held its breath. Days turned into weeks as the legal battle unfolded. Courtroom drama, endless paperwork, media frenzy, it was exhausting and relentless. But every victory, no matter how small, was a brick in the foundation of my new life. One afternoon, after a grueling day in court, Sarah leaned in and whispered, "We're making progress. The truth is winning." Hope blossomed amid the chaos. When the verdict finally came, the courtroom was packed. Emily's empire crumbled as the judge pronounced her guilty on multiple counts. The sound of the gavel echoed like thunder in my ears. Relief washed over me, but the scars of betrayal remained. I wasn't the same woman who once stood silently by. I was a survivor, a fighter, a woman who reclaimed her power. Have you ever faced a moment where the truth set you free but changed everything? Where victory came with a price you hadn't expected? If you have, you understand that life's hardest battles forge the strongest souls. The courtroom verdict echoed in my mind like thunder. Emily was guilty. The empire she'd built on lies had crumbled, but the war was far from over. Outside the courtroom, cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions, and a crowd gathered. I felt exposed, raw, vulnerable, but also strangely free. Yet freedom came with a cost. In the weeks that followed, the aftermath hit harder than I expected. Emily's supporters were relentless. My phone buzzed nonstop with hate messages. Anonymous threats painted a dark cloud over every step I took. One evening, I found graffiti smeared across my apartment door. "Traitor," "Betrayer." The words stung like acid. At work, some colleagues distanced themselves, afraid of the backlash. Meetings became tense, with cold glances and whispered conversations just out of earshot. One day, my trusted assistant hesitated before handing me a document. "People are scared, Lydia. They don't want to get involved." Her words cut deeper than any insult. But amidst the chaos, a new fight ignited inside me. I wasn't just fighting Emily anymore. I was battling the fear, the isolation, the whispers that threatened to swallow me whole. I sought therapy, confronting wounds I'd buried deep. It wasn't easy. Some days, the weight crushed me. But each session peeled back layers of pain, revealing strength I hadn't known I had. One afternoon, my sister called. "I've been distant, and I'm sorry," she said, voice cracking. Tears welled in my eyes. "I needed you," I whispered. We started rebuilding not just our relationship, but a support system I desperately needed. Meanwhile, the company faced new challenges. Without Emily's shadow looming, opportunities arose, but so did fresh battles. Competitors saw weakness and pounced. I learned to fight smarter, to lean on those who truly supported me. Have you ever felt like you won the battle but lost the war? Like the aftermath was lonelier than the fight itself? If you have, you understand why healing is a journey, a winding road filled with setbacks, breakthroughs, and moments of grace. Standing here today, I'm not the same Lydia who once sat alone, crushed by betrayal and doubt. I'm a woman forged by fire and silence, shaped by broken promises and quiet victories. I've learned healing isn't a destination, it's a journey. A winding path filled with courage, mistakes, and moments of grace. Some days are harder than others. Some nights, the past still haunts me. But I've discovered one undeniable truth. We are not defined by the pain we've endured, but by how we rise after falling. The friendships I thought would last forever faded. The family I relied on broke apart. But those chapters closed to make way for a new one. A chapter I get to write. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if every wound will fully heal or if forgiveness will come completely. But I do know this. I will keep moving forward. Keep growing. Keep loving myself fiercely, even when it's hard. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. What about you? Have you ever felt lost or broken? Fighting your own battles? Have you ever gotten back up after falling harder than you thought possible? Share your story in the comments. Let's build a community where every voice matters and every heart finds healing. If this story touched you even just a little, please hit that like button to help spread hope to others who need it. Don't forget to subscribe so we can continue this journey together, sharing stories of strength, resilience, and courage. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, please share this video with them. Sometimes, one story can change a life. Let this story be the spark that lights your way forward. Thank you for being part of this journey.